everyone, so here we are for the first episode of Get Real with Rajiv Talreja. The intention behind the show is to encourage all of you to ask questions on my social media pages, and then we do this very candid real-time video to share with you my responses or thoughts on the questions that you ask me. So we have a voice to your questions, and the voice to your questions is going to be Shivani. She's behind the camera right now. Shivani, say hello.
Hello.
So you can hear Shivani there. So she's going to ask me the questions that have come in for the week. So she's going to pick probably 3 questions and ask. So if your question does not get picked, make sure you continue asking it so that you grab Shivani's attention and she asks me that question in the next episode. So Shivani, what questions do we have today?
So the first question we have is from Rakesh on Instagram. So I want to quit my job and start a business because I want to get out of the rat race. What do you suggest?
Alright, firstly Rakesh, thank you so much for asking that question. Secondly, thank you so much Shivani for reading that question out. And for those of you who are wondering, why is her accent not like an Indian? Because Shivani is not an Indian. We are engineering reverse brain drain. You know, for the longest time we've known Indians to go abroad for job opportunities. Here, I'm proud to say this, where we have Shivani, who's an American citizen who's come to India to work with us. So Indians, spare her for her accent. Alright, so thank you Shivani. So coming back to Rakesh's question. So Rakesh's question is, how can he get out of the rat race? Is that what the question is?
He wants to quit his job, start a business, get out of the rat race. What do you suggest?
Alright, so I'm going to go in 2 tangents, Rakesh, so bear with me on that. The first tangent is I'm extremely uncomfortable with the fact that you call your job a rat race. And this is for all of you who think being in a job is a rat race. I personally do not subscribe or prescribe to the philosophy of treating someone who's in a job like a second-class citizen, that they're living someone else's dream and they are in a rat race. Well, if jobs are a rat race, let me tell you what entrepreneurship is. Entrepreneurship is a termite fight, which means you're nothing but a termite. You can get squished anytime. So I just don't like this philosophy of looking at a job as a rat race. I mean, I believe the trainers, coaches, authors, the personal development industry is actually responsible for creating this propaganda or narrative which says that if you're in a job, your life sucks. May not be. Okay, you may be in a job, you may be getting paid well, you may be doing work that you love doing, you may be working with people who you enjoy being with, you may have a positive environment around you at your workplace, you may have a workplace which allows you to grow, balance your life and is paying you well. So I don't see any harm in being in a job, and I don't see it right to degrade a job as a rat race. So this is like one macro message to those of you who have this jobophobia and think being in a job is something wrong. No, it's not wrong. In fact, I believe this, that even entrepreneurs who cannot respect a job do not have any right to hire a team member. I mean, I can't look at my team and say, oh, you're in a job, your life sucks, you're making my dream come true. I think that's just pathetic. So firstly, let's go beyond this mass hypnosis that has been created that jobs suck. Let's go beyond this mass hypnosis that being in a job sucks, and let's firstly learn how to respect jobs. That's what I'd like to start with, Rakesh. Your reason for becoming an entrepreneur should not be that because you think being in a job sucks, you want to start a business and become an entrepreneur. So that's something I want to check with you as a warning indicator, that are you looking at starting a business just because you think it's cool to be an entrepreneur? Because if you think it's cool to be an entrepreneur, you really haven't spoken to many entrepreneurs, or rather whoever you've spoken to hasn't spoken to the truth to you. Entrepreneurship is not easy. It's not meant to be easy. It's a great vehicle. I'm a propagator of entrepreneurship, but I prefer people coming in prepared. So what does that preparation mean for you if you're in a job? The preparation means you need to come up with a product or a service idea for which people are willing to pay money. I see a lot of entrepreneurs starting businesses where they are in love with their product or service idea. They come up with a fancy idea, but when they take it to market, they realize nobody is willing to spend money on those products or services. So do your research, identify a pain point, identify a target audience, identify what their needs and desires are, create a product or service idea where you are confident that you will be able to deliver it in the right way, and create a scalable model for it. Don't get into business if your business is not scalable. In all honesty, I say this, employment is better than self-employment. And the reason I say that is a lot of people become entrepreneurs, but at best what they are is self-employed professionals. And the beauty about being self-employed is that they do all the work in their business and they still don't pay themselves. I find that worse than employment. In employment, at least you're being paid consistently. So if you're doing or getting into a business, make sure it is scalable, because you don't want to get stuck in the business and be in the trap of self-employment. So here's my piece of advice. Come up with a business model which is scalable and profitable. Come up with a product or service idea which addresses a pain point or fulfills a desire, and that's how you jump into a business. And prepare yourself. Build the skills for it, build the knowledge for it. Test the product or service, then jump into it full time. So that's how I would say you can get out of your job and start a business, but start it for the right reason, my friend. Don't start it because you think being in a job sucks. Yeah, Shivani, next question.
Cool. So Naren asks, so it is often said that for success you need the mindset of abundance and not middle class mentality of scarcity. But also it is said that we need to control spending, be financially mindful, save and invest, etc. How should one approach the mindset of abundance along with the habit of saving and being financially mindful simultaneously? Are they contradictory or complementary? Thanks.
Lovely question, Naren. Thank you for asking that one. So let's look at it. At one level, we speak the language of abundance, which means that you got to approach life from the perspective that there is enough for everybody. You cannot approach life with the scarcity that there's not enough for everybody, and therefore I need to hold, I need to kind of be stingy or be, for the lack of a better word, scarce in my thinking that there's not enough for everyone. So abundance is at one side, and the other side is the school of thought that, hey, you got to be moderate in your spending, you shouldn't be too flashy, you got to make sure that you are being prudent with your money, you got to save, you got to invest. So I would say both these mindsets are great, and they're not contradictory, they are complementary. If you actually notice wealthy people, here's what wealthy people do. And I'm talking about wealthy people, not rich people. Some people have a lot of money, but they don't have wealth. Okay, what do I mean by wealthy people? Wealthy people live life in the mindset of abundance, and when it comes to spending that money, they're frugal, they're moderate with it. If not frugal, at least moderate with it. So wealthy people understand that when it comes to making money, it's about serving people, adding massive value, making a difference to people, and that's what generates wealth. Okay, and it's about giving. The more you give, the more you receive. Having said that, they also practice moderation from the point of view that it's not about how much money you make, it's about how you use the money that you make. Okay, so it's not about spending it on something just because you get social approval out of it. It's about spending on things that give you happiness, and it's about using that money in a balanced manner. And I believe that there are multiple uses of money. I learned this from T. Harv Eker's book Secrets of a Millionaire Mind, and by attending his course Millionaire Mind Intensive. So it's something that I openly propagate and recommend to entrepreneurs who want to learn how to manage money. I believe the uses of money are, firstly, you use it for your necessities, which is things that you can't do without, your living expenses. You use it for investing so that the money can grow. You use it for saving, so you're taking care of money for the rainy day. And you use it for enjoying, which means you do things that you just love doing. Treat yourself on things, gadgets if you like gadgets, recreation and vacations if you like that. So you use money for necessity, for investing it to grow, for saving it so that you have reserves, and for enjoying with it. And then finally you use money for contributing as well, so that you make a difference. I think when one balances out the uses of money based on these buckets, that's when you're being moderate in your spending and respecting the various uses of money, and at the same time the mindset has to be of giving, of abundance, which means there is enough. Okay, don't lose your sleep if you lose some money. At the same time, learn how to take care of it. So it's not contradictory, it's actually very complementary. And that's the truth about abundance and moderation. Those are, I think, two things. If you master, you actually master the fine line or balance money really well. Yep.
Cool. So we have a question on Twitter from Pradeep. It says, "Hi Rajiv, good step ahead. My question is, how is a person's behavior measured? is it possible to do in a short-term relationship? And also, tell me the ROI of your sessions.
Okay. So let's take the first question first. Pradeep's question is, how do you measure a person's behavior? Is it possible to measure a person's behavior? So there's a tool that I teach. It's a part of the book Lead or Bleed as well, which is called the competency iceberg model, which says that for an individual, there are 3 elements to be able to be effective on a job: the skills required for the job, the knowledge, which is the information required to do the job, and the third level is the attitude. Skills and knowledge are visible. I mean, I can check a team member's skill by seeing them do the job. So if I have a salesperson, I can accompany him for a sales meeting and I can visibly see at a skill level, where does he stand on a scale of 1 to 10. Knowledge can be tested by asking questions, putting people through examinations, because you want to see what data do they possess. Do they actually understand the content or the information or data necessary for that job? So skills and knowledge are easy to see, therefore they are easy to measure, therefore they are easy to develop. Attitude, on the other hand, is the invisible force, and it is a important force to reckon with, because a person may have the right skills and knowledge, but if they don't have the right attitude, they're an absolute misfit, an absolute pain in that environment. So the question to ask is, can you measure an individual's attitude? The answer is yes. It is not as easy as skills and knowledge, but it is not impossible to measure. Measuring of attitude takes a lot of time to be spent with that person. That's where organizations use psychometric tests or assessment and development centers, where they put people through tasks and activities or situations that simulate the real world and check responses of people. Now, I know as small and medium entrepreneurs, we may not have the know-how or the investment to put people through assessment centers or through psychometric assessments. So the best way as a small and medium enterprise is to have a probationary period where you observe people's behaviors on the job, and you have observable indicators which you have predefined, saying, I can handle this is the kind of attitude I would want a person to have on this type of job. And when you have that listed and you measure it against the evidence that you're seeing on the job, then you know whether the person fits or not. And that's where a probationary time frame is very, very important on the job. So that's the answer to your first part. Is it possible to measure people's behavior? Yes. Okay, it is possible through observable indicators. That's the answer for you. You need to have observable indicators for the job, and you got to measure it on the job. And therefore, it's time taking. You need to spend time with that person. You need to see that person through different situations. Can behaviors and attitudes be altered? Yes. Training takes care of altering of people's skill and knowledge. So you can train a person on the skills and on the information required. But if you want to develop a person's attitude, it's largely coaching and mentoring. It's more one-to-one, more personalized, more situation-based, where you're talking to them about the various situations, how they behave, debriefing that, giving them feedback, demonstrating, doing role plays. So attitude can be developed more through coaching and hand-holding kind of interventions, not just through training, which is information delivery. Transformational trainings can shift a person's attitude. So you need to really put them through some skillful training which is transformational in nature. But again, to sustain the change, you need to handhold and have coaching. So that's your question on how can attitude be measured and can attitude be changed. The third part of the question, Shivani, if I'm not wrong, is how do we measure ROI of our work, of our sessions? So in our context as a business coaching organization, we obviously set up metrics with a business, which are business related metrics like their revenue, their profitability, their team size, their product lines. So these are the tangible pieces. But apart from that, we work with entrepreneurs on the intangibles as well, which is their personal competence as an entrepreneur, their attitude, their skills, their knowledge. And we kind of break it down into behavioral indicators, which is what I mentioned. And for those of them who come into our coaching process, that's something that we work and measure on. When it comes to my training interventions, it's largely information, which is giving people strategies, and transformation, which is helping people identify why they want to do what they want to do. So it's a combination of these two elements. So that's how we measure change in our environment. So I think with that, we're done with this episode of Get Real with Rajiv Talreja. For those of you watching, I hope you enjoyed this candid conversation and this question and answer style. And if you want to keep this going, make sure you ask me questions on Facebook, LinkedIn or Instagram, and my team will pick the best 3 questions, and we will do more episodes of Get Real with Rajiv Taneja. Thank you so much, guys. Goodbye. Bye bye. Shivani, you want to say bye?
Bye.
Okay, bye.